This morning we get to work on a new car for a new customer. We haven't seen them yet, but we're getting excited. And the nice thing about this industry is we're able to meet new people all the time and see what kind of vehicles they have. And no matter what you drive, whether it's a brand new show car or maybe a daily driver, even something of a vintage era that just needs some work to restore it to like new condition, we can do that. That's what makes it so great. A lot of cases we may have customers with 10, even 20-year-old daily drivers that need to be reconditioned, and we can end up saving them a lot of money from either not having to repaint it or selling the vehicle and buying a new one, because they can then keep it on the road longer and it looks amazing and it's protected. Today we're working on a new Tesla 3. We haven't seen it yet, but I'm sure it's going to be great because the car is just packed with technology. And what makes that more exciting is the technology that we're using today is Feynlab's heel coating, which actually means we're going to have a situation where we are able to put on the best ceramic coating possible, self-healing by Feynlab, and combine that with a car that just has a ton of technology. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We're really excited to check it out, and we look forward to having you guys along with us.
Well, we're here with Jeff today. Thanks so much for coming and working on our car and making it look great. Just explain with us a little bit about what you're going to be doing here with us today.
Thank you, Steve. So today we're working on a new model Tesla 3 that you just recently acquired. The first thing we're going to do is just go over a pre-vehicle inspection. This ensures that we address every possible concern on the vehicle, any of the needs that stuck out to you that you want addressed. From our original conversation, being that the vehicle's new and that you wanted the best form of protection, today we're going to perform our self-heal application through Feynlab ceramic coatings, the best in the industry right now. And what we are going to do right now is just point out a few small things. Because the vehicle is so new, I mean, the areas of concern are pretty minor, but we have some areas where the bugs have hit it, and areas lower on the vehicle, a little bit of grease stains on the bottom, no scratches or anything stand out on the vehicle initially, but we always want to make sure that. One thing is, if you'll notice, like little bits of marring, this is like a chrome veneered finish, so little small scratches like that, those usually can't be removed just because it's a softer material. But with the ceramic coating that's going to go on there, it's going to leave protection.
Now I want you to know, what did we just do, Katie? We just picked this car up where? In California. And so
we surprised our grandma and grandpa with the Model 3.
Yeah, we surprised our grandma and grandpa with the car. But we instead of having them deliver it to us, we decided to drive along the California coast. So you got 1,000 miles of dirt on this car already.
Okay.
So we tried to avoid all the puddles and rain showers, which there weren't any, I don't think.
Good.
So whatever you can do, We're putting it in your hands.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it makes it more fun to work on. Or something to clean up, so this will be good.
You probably can't see it because of the sun, unless you're on this side. I'm not sure if you can see it.
I see some.
No, I know. So the sun.
Oh yeah. Okay. Now
So
I
it's
see
it's like someone did. When they do this,
Yep.
they wash it down. That's why a lot of these detailers say, don't even let them touch the car or wash it. Just tell them to leave it alone and bring it to me.
Okay.
Daddy, look.
So that's them cleaning the car, so it'll look good for us, even though they're adding swirl marks to the paint.
So when I started with ceramic coatings, I mean, I've been doing this a little over 18 years. And when I started this, ceramic coatings were not even in existence. Only in the past 8-9 years have ceramic coatings even been available for an application like a car. They've been around for almost 30 years in industrial applications, and the reason they were not available for cars is because in an industrial application, think of like beams on a crane tower or an offshore drilling rig, the surface doesn't have to be perfect and smooth. So what they kept doing is they started to refine those ceramic coatings because they knew the protection was great, but they made it to a point to where it could go on a vehicle's finish and level off completely flat, completely smooth, and actually leave protection while it looks glossy. So in the early years, there were some companies that I was using that were not very environmentally friendly, and particularly more on a health level. They had high levels of VOCs and solvents. One nice thing about Feynlab is they're manufactured just outside Chicago, Illinois, in a little town called Lombard, Illinois. They're 100% American made, but even more importantly, their chemist is in-house, meaning he works on the product, refines it, they manufacture it right there. No other company in the entire world for an automotive level type coating is even doing that. I mean, there are some American made manufacturers that will relabel and rebottle, but that is strictly the only company, Feynlab. And the one thing about it that I just love is even if we were not to use our proper safety gear, you know, nitrile gloves and respirators and everything, the solvents are so mild that you could really get away with it, as to where a lot of other companies are just so strong and so dangerous. So that's one thing we love about it, just another benefit. We're very, very particular about our water. The first thing that we do is we have a 4-step pre-filter. It's just a sediment filtration system in line that goes to reverse osmosis, much like you would have under your sink, but a little bit heavy duty version. With that, then the water transfers into a clean storage tank and then is pumped through a deionizing process. The reason we do the deionizing process is it has cations and anions. It removes every possible contaminant left in the water. So this is truly zero TDS water, which is total dissolved solids. It's how we're measuring the impurities in the water. As a matter of fact, the water is so pure, they have to measure it in ohms of resistance, to the point that true purified deionized water is not even able to conduct electricity. So that is just how pure this water is. And we go to that level because every step that we can do that is to the highest level, it's going to help reduce problems down the road. So if we were not to use deionized water, we may experience water spots in our washing process. Some people say, well, that's not that big a deal because you're going to polish the paint anyway. But in my mind, why spend extra time polishing, which really creates more heat, more distortion to your paint into those panels when that isn't even necessary. So on a scientific level, those are all different things we think through in the entire process. So we're going to start with our all-purpose cleaner, which is just a light alkaline cleaner, sprayed in the areas that are affected most heavily on the lower parts of the car, tires, wheels. Then we have an Iron X remover that removes any chemical contaminants on the paint. Then we get into our wash step, which is a special wash from Feynlab that doesn't leave any residues, has 0 fillers. And then from there we go into our wash, rinse, a special clay barring process with another product from Feynlab to help get the ceramic base down onto the finish. And then from there, we're going to do a final rinse, clean, dry, and then we're going to bring it in and then start the polishing process. So the mild paint correction, and then from there, we go through another cleaning step, make sure that nothing's left on the paint, and then we get into the actual ceramic coating application, which in this vehicle is really like 3 separate steps, because we have our self-heal coating, which is going to go on the finish, and it's going to bond on a molecular level. It's cross-linking to the painted surface. From there, we use a special leveling aid, which then helps that smooth over completely. We can remove it. It's also going to level it. And then finally, we finish with a top coat, which then bonds to that first layer and leaves the extra slickness, the extra gloss that people like, but at the same time ensures that that lower layer is fully bonded and secured to the paint. And then you're done. we do a foam wash in a situation like this is because the foam itself is thick enough that it can dwell on the paint surface and create some cleaning action. The foam also is an emulsifier. It pulls contaminants and dirt off the painted surface, wheels and everything else, and it allows us to perform a wash which is much safer to the finish. We do this in a decontamination type setting, so not only does it look cool, it's actually very functional and is going to provide a better clean surface for when we move into the rest of the paint decontamination and also ultimately applying the ceramic coating. So again, all the proper necessary pre-steps help us get to a better final finish. So part of what we're doing now is we're doing all the lower areas. We do the top parts of the vehicle first because they usually have less dirt and contaminants, and we don't want to cross-contaminate, meaning we don't want to bring dirt that's on the lower part of the car to the top part of the car, because that just puts in more scratches and swirl marks or wash marks that takes more time for us to remove. So again, doing a top wash and then taking some time going around the lower panels, and then we have a separate mitt which will take us to all of the wheels and those front areas that are really bad. So this here is a special product from Feynlab. It's called Prime. It has a water-based carrier and it has a little bit of a ceramic built into it. The idea behind this is in your clay bar lubricant, it's actually filling in all the micro pores of the paint. So when you get on to the polishing process, it's filling in those larger scratches and then also removing those defects. So think of it like cracks in your driveway. This is like putting little bits of sand into those cracks. And then the polishing step is going to be taking a big sanding disc over that and polishing away the cement so it's perfectly flat. But in those micro cracks that you can really only get to at a molecular level of how small they are, the little pores in the paint, this is helping to fill those, so in your paint correction process, everything becomes perfectly smooth and flat, and it's going to leave the absolute best surface for adhesion with your ceramic coating. Now this is where all the bugs were on the front of the car. As you can see, most of them are gone already, but we just want to take the clay bar again just to go over everything. And what a clay bar does is it removes above surface contaminants. So a lot of people get that confused with, well, doesn't a clay bar remove scratches and swirls and make my paint look shiny? All it does is removes the roughness on your finish. So if you were to rub your hand over a perfectly clean car that you just washed and you feel some roughness, that's going to be caused by industrial fallout, tree sap, just contaminants that are floating in the air, sticking onto the paint. Also, if there's moisture in the air that sticks with dust, it can create more of a permanent bond with those contaminants. This is removing that. Then when we get on to our polishing step, or a paint correction, if you will, because we're actually removing micro bits of clear coat to get a perfectly flat, smooth finish, those are below surface defects. That's what we're going to be removing with our polishing process. So this is just the upper level, so we're taking care of the top stuff, and then we're going to go below the surface and take care of that with the polishing step next. Proper drying is very important when detailing a vehicle, especially when applying a ceramic coating. And the reason that is the ceramic coating goes on with a solvent carrier. So if you can imagine how oil and water do not mix, the same goes for water and solvents. So it's very imperative that all of the cracks, crevices, and little areas will have all the water removed from it. So we use compressed air with a rubber-tipped air nozzle to keep everything safe and protected on the vehicle, and then very absorbent waffle weave drying towels just to make sure that we get everything, and at the same time eliminating the swirls and marring and little wash and drying marks that would go back into the paint surface. So just taking the time to properly dry a vehicle is going to help it a lot down the road, because if you don't and water starts coming out of a crack when applying a ceramic coating, you're going to create problems with the actual coating itself. So again, just making sure everything's done properly to leave a better result at the end. Because we're using the water that is deionized, if you'll notice in some of the areas that are starting to dry a little bit on their own, there's no water spots. And the reason that is because the water is spot free. It has no TDS, no dissolved solids, which also gives us a little more time in the drying process. But more importantly, it's not going to leave water spot etching into the clear coat and into the paint. So in a situation like this where we're polishing and making sure everything's as close to perfect as possible before we apply the ceramic coating, if we have extra water spot etching and stuff, that's more that has to be polished out, more contaminants in the pad that have to be cleaned more frequently. And if you look at it this way, water spot etching is the leftover calcium and hard water and mineral deposits left on the paint surface. If you think of a large mineral like a big salt crystal or something, it would be very hard and you'd think it would scratch. Same thing on a small level. Little bits of those water spot etching residue that you see on your paint, when you're picking that up, that's getting trapped into the pad, and then it's going to disperse across the rest of the paint. So that's also part of the reason why we have to change pads frequently, keep them clean, blow them out, and make sure as we're doing our polishing process, we're not cross-contaminating every panel on the vehicle. After we perform our initial inspection of the vehicle to go over it, we have a follow-up inspection after the vehicle has been thoroughly cleaned and decontaminated. This gives us the best opportunity to look at the paint in its purest form, see what's actually going on. So if you'll notice, some stuff that was hidden in the dirty car is now visible, and if you look right here, there's a severe amount of water spot etching and hazing here in the paint, various wash marks. So it looks like some highly concentrated water with a lot of minerals in it was sitting on here, got baked in the sun possibly, maybe even some sap from some trees, but you can see all that in there. That's in the clear coat of the paint, and that's what we're going to be working to remove. Same with the sides of the vehicle and on the hood as well, to make sure that when the coating goes on, it has a clean, pure surface to go onto. To you live. So we are working on a brand new Tesla Model 3 today. And when I say brand new, literally this customer brought it down from California at the manufacturing facility. Take a look at this. This is after a wash, decontamination, clay bar. That is all etched into the paint. So this just goes to show when people ask, hey, we have a brand new car, can we get it detailed? How much do you charge? Always do an inspection first, which is why we do that. Come across here. On the back, same thing. All that etching. You see just a little bit in there. So that's what we're going to be removing. We're going to be doing a Feynlab self-heal coating today, the very best coating in ceramic protection that we offer. So I'm going to do a quick walk around on the vehicle. So beautiful car, just needs a little work and get it looking good. So this here is a medium polish from Feynlab, and we're going to test it out. The key to polishing paint in a situation like this is to start out with a mild product, because we don't know how the paint is going to react, and if you start off too aggressive, it could create other problems like marring or scratch marks from the pad. So we want to start light, work our way up to the lowest possible necessary to remove the defects, everything that's in the paint, and then from there we can refine the paint finish and then move on to the final wipe and then the ceramic coating. So right here we have a Rupes LHR2 model 15. This is an Italian made polisher, just very high quality, very smooth, easy to operate. And the nice thing about this polisher is it does not instill swirl marks in a traditional polisher would, because it spins in a straight circle, where this one has an oscillating effect and it keeps the defects out but also doesn't put them back in. So we're just going to test out a little section and just see what it does. So this here is our test spot. We're going to do a couple of these and just see how well the defects got removed. And as you can see, come into the light, it removed the deep water spot etching and everything that was on the paint surface. And had we started with a more aggressive compound, it may have removed the same amount of defects, but it very likely would have also put in some marring marks and a little bit of hazing onto the clear coat, and then we would have to increase our efforts to remove it. When you go with such an aggressive product, it's actually creating more damage to the clear coat and to the painted surface. And because the painted surface and clear coat on this vehicle is only about 2 mils thick on average, the thickness is even just a little bit less than what a sticky note would be, to have an idea of comparison. So that is just a very minimal amount of clear coat that we're working with on this vehicle. We want to protect it and preserve it. So in situations where you're getting the panels overheated, once they cool down, some of the defects can sometimes even come back. So there's a lot of science that goes in just to the proper polishing of the vehicle and what we're doing to make sure that it's properly cleaned and protected. So we're just changing out pads, and the reason we do that is the pads start to get loaded up with compound on every pass. So what we do is we have a combination of blowing them out with the compressed air. The nice thing about the compressed air is it's able to blow through the foam and it doesn't create any abrasion like a brush would, so it preserves the foam, keeps it clean. But every once in a while, just because of the heat buildup, this entire thing starts to fill up. So if you feel right here, it's pretty warm. Not enough to burn you, but pretty hot. That heat transfers into the pad, and that's when we install. So what we're doing here is we're using a fine foam finishing pad, which allows us to refine the finish on the vehicle, but then we're using an aggressive compound. So what that means is when they work together, the aggressive compound is cutting initially very aggressively. It's breaking down and getting all the contaminants, and in this case, a lot of the etching and scratch marks on the paint. And then what it's starting to do is it goes into the foam pad, and it's also breaking down, so we're able to refine it and polish it in the same step without actually putting more defects into the paint. So we're still removing those defects. Providing the very best protection is the most important part of the detailing process, and we do that with a ceramic coating. Today we're going to be using a Feynlab Heal Light ceramic coating on this Tesla 3, and what separates this coating from any other coating on the market today in the entire industry is this has actual self-healing properties. As an example, if you were to come against a vehicle, maybe with a shirt, give it some brush marks, or even light marring or small scratches, those can all be healed by applying heat to that affected area, such as boiling water or a heat gun. And what's happening is, in this case, a ceramic coating is repolymerizing. So with all the various brands out there, Feynlab by far is the very best company and the best protection, and it is the only one with proven self-healing properties in its ceramic coatings. Some companies claim that, Feynlab actually delivers. That is why we're doing it on this vehicle today. Part of our company slogan is officially protecting your investment. And we say when you're using a ceramic coating, you're definitely protecting your investment because you are actually having ceramic coating protection that's cross-linking and bonding to your paint on a molecular level. So it's not going to wash off and wear off in a matter of a few weeks. to a few months like a traditional wax or sealant, it will actually last several years and hold up against all the different environmental factors. Protecting your investment is not just about the exterior surface of your vehicle, but also the interior. Making sure that your interior components are protected is just as important as making sure that your paint is protected. Feynlab manufactures an amazing product using the same ceramic technology in a water-based formula specifically designed for carpet and upholstery. Feynlab textile is what we're going to be using on these Tesla Model 3 mats we have shown here. Now these mats are brand new, so what we did is we did just a proper dry cleaning method with a vacuum and brush to make sure that there's no loose debris in them. If these mats were older or needed more deep cleaning, we use a specialized steam cleaning method in order to remove any dirt and contaminants, but ensuring that there's no residue remaining. The reason why that is so important is because traditional soaps and cleaners inside the carpet and upholstery will create a surface that is not able for the ceramic coating protectant to stick on as well. So once we've applied this on here, it will leave a very durable form of protection that will help repel a lot of dirt and moisture and things that come in contact with the carpet. Because every vehicle has different components, such as leather or a form of fake leather on the interior, you have the upholstery, which has nylon fibers, and then of course your painted surfaces, which will have a clear coat, or situations where it's a high gloss finish. Different ceramic coatings need to be applied to those different types of materials because they're all going to react differently. So while some people may just take one universal type coating and apply it to all the surfaces, it's very important that the right ceramic coating protection is going onto each of those individual surfaces. In the case of this leather material here on this Tesla Model 3, we're going to be applying the Feynlab leather treatment. Now this particular product is fortified with ceramic materials inside the gel, so it's going to condition this leather area and also put a ceramic coating protection on it so that it will help keep it looking better, longer, and resistant to more stains and dirt as compared to a traditional protection. Since JBS Executive Detailing started, we have always been focused on providing the very best quality and customer service. Part of providing the very best quality is through getting the very best products available to our customers. One of the brands that we have found does an amazing job for protection is Feynlab. Now we've talked a lot about the Feynlab product, but in all of our years of combined experience, we have tried various other brands. A lot of people hear about Ceramic Pro or C-Quartz or some other brand. But what we have found is through all of our testing and years of using these different products, Feynlab has stood above the rest by having the best quality and ease of use, and at the same time delivering the very best protection for our customers. So while it may not be the most commonly heard of product, it's going to deliver the absolute best protection for you.